In the meantime, let's turn back to the debate around the proposed voice to Parliament. With me in the studio is Dean Parkin. He's director of the campaign From the Heart. Dean, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Kieran.
How would you say things are tracking towards the referendum? The polls still say a majority back the idea of a voice to Parliament. Where do you see it?
Yeah, I think there's two conversations happening here, Kieran. There's the conversation that's happening here in Canberra and with commentators and with media types, and then there's the conversation that's happening out in the community, on the ground. I had the great pleasure of being in Perth this time last week, talking to faith groups, civil society organisations, community groups, and they are just absolutely keen to get involved in the debate. So that's where our focus is here, because I think Australians are ready to be involved, they're ready to be engaged. In some ways, they're not paying attention to the noise. They just want their say in this, and they want to be involved and included and be part of a national referendum campaign.
What sort of impact does the likes of Lydia Thorpe defecting from the Greens and that sort of fringe element have within the Indigenous community, but more broadly as well, in your view?
Well, there's some polling released recently that talked about the Indigenous support for constitutional recognition for a voice, and it showed that 80% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people support a yes vote in the referendum. And, you know, there's about 10% of the community that's undecided and about 10% that are opposed. So I think sometimes what we get a bit distracted by talking about, as you say, the fringe element of it, and actually take our eye off the fact that 80% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people do support this. So again, that's where our focus is. We know we've got to get out there and continue to have the conversation in our communities, increase the levels of awareness and understanding, but that's something that we're really looking forward to.
You've got on the board now for the Australians for Constitutional Recognition a couple of respected Liberal strategists, Mark Textor, Tony Nutt, among them. Is that encouraging to you to bring some of those senior Liberals on board? And you've got the New South Wales Premier, the Tasmanian Premier, not the opposition leader federally though. At this point, anyway.
Yeah, I think at this point, and let's wait and see. Obviously, Peter Dutton has said he'd like to meet with Indigenous leaders through the working group again sometime this month. So let's wait and see what happens there. But I think it's reflective more broadly of the community, and including the Conservative community as well, that there are genuinely strong champions out there that want to see this. I mean, there have been members of the Conservative community that have been championing Indigenous constitutional recognition and a voice for many, many years. So it's important that they're involved and at the table helping drive that community conversation.
The debate around funding for the yes and the no campaigns, do you have a view on that?
Obviously, that's a decision for the government and the parliament, but we've never sought public funding. We think that this is a campaign that should be of the people and by the people, and that's where this started, and that's where we think the campaign should go. So we'll leave it to the parliament and government to make those decisions, but we'll just be getting on with the job of continuing the conversation.
And while we've been having our conversation today, we've just been looking at this historical document from the AEC from the 99 referendum, where there was a yes-no pamphlet. It looks like there will be another one on this occasion. Is it actually going to be a benefit in the end for your side, for the yes, because it helps clear up disinformation, I guess, on both sides?
Potentially, but I just find it a bit bizarre. We're sitting here in 2023 talking about a pamphlet. The way that people consume information in our society, the various digital channels, TV, radio, news, conversations, I'm not here to speculate on the impact of a pamphlet. I think people will be engaging in this in the way that is best for them. And as I say, we're just keen to get out there in those communities and to continue to have those conversations.